Hi, welcome to this read aloud video. My name is Casey Laux, and today I'm going to be reading 3 of my favorite poems. They're from this poetry book called Things I Have to Tell You. This is an anthology of poems written by teenage girls ages 12 to 17, and they were put together and edited by Betsy Franco. So before we get started with those poems, I just want to go over some vocabulary words that you're going to see in the poems that might be a little confusing. So to start, the first word is inscrutable. That's inscrutable. And this means something that's very hard to understand or something that's maybe not so easily defined. All right. The next word is nymphs. Nymphs. So you might have heard this before, maybe in some mythology stories, but these are some divine, normally really beautiful type of spirits or creatures that live in or dwell in natural settings like the forest, or mountains, or around springs. So that's nymphs. Lastly, word conservation. Word conservation. So if we think about this word, we might already know what conservation means. Normally that would be referred to maybe in like an environmental sense, like conserving valuable resources. So in this sense, we have the word right in front of it. So word conservation, word is the resource to say that we are conserving. So this could mean that our words maybe are used more carefully, selected more carefully, and maybe even used less frequently. So that's word conservation. Using your words wisely, you could say. Okay, so those are some words that you'll see. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll read the first poem. This is called My Heart is in My Throat. This is a photo of the author. And she is 17 and her name is Erin. Okay, so my heart is in my throat, sorry. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I might pause with uncertainty and turn a little red, but please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. Excuse me while I clear my throat. You may hear a few squeaks and cracks and see me shake uncontrollably, but please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. I'm going to stop there. Maybe we can make some predictions about what's going on in this poem. Maybe who the author is. She says, remain seated, I'll be with you soon, which is kind of an interesting line. Maybe think about who she could be, what she could be talking about. You'll also notice there's a lot of physical sensations going on here. We try to identify what those are and what those could tell us about how she's feeling. All right, continue on. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I may close my eyes and look invisible, but I am still here with you. I have never done this before. I have never sung a song. My song of inner hopes and fears. They may seem silly, childish, inscrutable, and may take me a minute, a year, but please remain seated. I'll be with you soon. Right, so with that end of the poem there, we can tell that she was gonna sing her own song that she had written, which was for something very personal for her. On to our next poem. This is probably my favorite one. This is called Finding Joy, and it is written by Marissa, age 16. Here's a photo of her, and very joyous. Okay, Finding Joy. I found myself a place to be, to play. A day went by, or maybe 2, no thoughts of you to crowd my empty mind. I find my body is to me as lovely as a budding tree, a cat with grace and emerald eyes, so unconcerned with shapely thighs. Just me, invisibly, a girl. Inside this shape, a woman's hips and breasts so much wider, softer than the rest. I found myself a crystal blue, like nymphs or fairies do. So there's that word nymphs that we talked about. If we look at the context, she says, I found myself a crystal blue, like nymphs or fairies do. So she even uses the word fairies kind of as a synonym, compares the fairy to the nymphs, which could confirm that definition that we talked about, how they are these kind of mythological spirits or creatures that dwell in nature. And she's talking a lot about nature here, mentioning a budding tree, crystal blue water maybe, so that fits for sure. All right, let's continue on. I never thought of you or what you'd think of me. I found my body was a mass of ground, the earth inside of me, behind my vinyl walls of picture perfection. So in this stanza, she says, I never thought of you or what you'd think of me. So with that, who do you think the audience might be of this poem? Is she talking to someone in particular maybe? She says you twice, so it's maybe directed at someone in her life. Okay, going on. I was the earth, the sky. It made me want to cry, to shout the softness I have never dared let out. My curves, my hair, a part of who I was, a blonde in a clear glass pond. Myself a flow of nature, alone finding joy. Alright, so that's the end of that one. Another question for that. After hearing this poem, how do you think the author is feeling about herself? Or what kind of feelings does she have about how she would define herself? There's a lot of references to natural images in this poem, just part of why I really love it. She mentions she feels part of the earth and the sky as a clear glass pond, a budding tree. So lots of really natural images. What do those say about how she's feeling? Alright. This is the last poem that I'm gonna read today. This is called Words. This is by Mahogany Foster, age 16, and there's her photo here. Alright, words. Words fly across the paper like blackbirds across the sky. And I think to myself, why? Oh why, oh why? Why? Alright, so that's just the first stanza. But we can already stop and try to make some predictions here. She's talking about words, something that we all use every day. She says, I think to myself, why? Oh why, oh why? What do you think she's wondering about here? Why would anyone use words like I hate, and I can't, and I quit, therefore I won't, and goodbye? Goodbye. Why not take that beautiful skill and use words like I love, and I can, and I will, or at least I'll try, and hello? Hello. Because I believe in word conservation, and if you're going to use a word at all, it should be one that glides off your tongue and floats around to sit comfortably in someone's ear. So the next time I see you, I'll be using words like I love, and I can, and I will, or at least I'll try, and hello, hello. Words. Right. So that's the end of that poem. And what do you think the author is advocating for with this? She mentions that she wants to use these positive words, I love, I can, I'll try, instead of I won't, I quit. So from those things that she's talking about in the poem, what do you think she's advocating for maybe to her audience who's going to be reading this? Alright, so that are the 3 poems that I have today. Now, after reading these poems and hearing these poems, I guess, I hope you can see how impactful your own words can be, even at a young age. At this point, maybe if you would like to, you could take some time to write your own poem. This poem could be about a struggle or a triumph, like the girls in this book wrote about. A lot of them dealt with hardships they had or moments of celebration. A possible topic could maybe be how you're feeling right now in this pandemic, kind of a weird time going on. So you could explore that in your poem. And you could also follow the structure of some of the poems I read today. So you can maybe use a lot of repetition, like in the poem Words that I just read. or draw on imagery, very vivid imagery, like the one I read where she's talking about finding joy in nature. So yeah, go ahead and write your own poem if you would like. And that is all I have today. Thank you so much for watching this read aloud.